Hey guys, it's Passport Mel. My name is Melanie, and in this video, I will be sharing with you why I think your 40s are the best time in your life to solo travel. If this is the first time you're meeting me, hi, welcome on this channel. We talk about all things solo travel. So if you love that topic, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you like what you're seeing, and whether you agree or disagree, leave a comment in the comment section. I want to know what you think. So, where this topic first originated was on Threads. And I love Threads because I can just make a blanket statement and people will either support me or attack me. And I think that's part of the fun. But I really stand firm in this because what I've noticed over my lifespan that traveling in my 40s has substantially been better than the time I've traveled in my 30s and 20s. And especially solo traveling, I think is so much better. And I'm going to share those reasons with you right now. So here are the 5 reasons. Reason number one, you are more financially established in your career. By the time you hit your 40s, you're in that 15 to 20 career mark, and it just makes a big difference. I remember when I was in my 20s, I didn't have a whole lot of discretionary income. So it was a struggle going on trips. Usually it was just a road trip. And then also, I'm really focused on my career. I don't have a whole lot of seniority, so there's not much PTO. And just living paycheck to paycheck makes it hard to prioritize travel. I found that in my 40s, I am more financially stable. I have that discretionary income, and I also have the time that I can take off. So it's really elevated the types of trips that I can have. When I was in my 20s, it was more so road trips and maybe getting into some cruises in the later 20s and early 30s block. But now I've been on some incredible trips. I've flown to South Africa, I've been to Latin America, I've been to Europe and did a cruise in Europe and hit 6 countries on that cruise. And it was just a lifetime achievement for me because those were the types of trips I've always wanted to take. And now I'm taking them in my 40s. So that would be my first reason: you're financially stable. Second reason why traveling in your 40s, especially solo traveling, is the best time is that you know yourself so much better. Like, I know what I like, I know what I don't like, I know what my preferences are, and I'm not really willing to compromise. I mean, I'll compromise a little bit if I'm traveling with others, but when it comes to solo travel, I can do exactly what I want. And that's just come from all the different trips that I've taken and just being firm in my convictions and not people pleasing as much or not worried about what other people think. And it has substantially changed the types of trips that I've taken, especially when I tell different people, like, oh, I want to go to Guatemala or I want to go to El Salvador. And people will be like, why do you want to go there? And I'm just like, because of X, Y, and Z. And they may be going off of what they've learned online or what they've read. But it's like, I know what I like, I know what I enjoy doing, and I can stay firm in that. The third reason is that when you're in your 40s, especially as a woman, you have a lot more confidence. And it's more outside of just like the people pleasing that I mentioned before, but it's like you really stand firm in your convictions, you know yourself better, but also like I don't care as much about what people think of me, and I know my worth. And I also understand what it means to be me, and I've accepted my flaws. I've had successes, I've had failures, and I've grown from that as a person. And I think all of that plays into the type of traveling that I'm doing, especially as a solo traveler. Also, I am able to use my discernment a lot better, listen to my gut, and I think that has also elevated my confidence when solo traveling. So I'm able to feel safer and more comfortable, but I'm also able to just read people and not feel like, oh, I don't want to be rude. Like, I don't care if I'm being rude, my safety comes first. And I think that confidence has made it so much easier and more enjoyable for me to travel solo. The fourth reason why traveling in your 40s is the best time to solo travel: life experience. by the time you hit your 40s, you've had a lot of life experiences. I know I have. And I've gained a lot of experience by trial and error, by doing, by learning from others, by researching. And it's just amazing the amount of information that we have available to us now versus what I had available to me in my 20s or even my 30s. Like, information is just readily available at your fingertips. There's not a whole lot of reason why you shouldn't or wouldn't know something because you can figure it out. And that's what I love about now traveling in my 40s. Like, I've gained so much life experience and I'm able to use that as I plan for my trips or as I get on a trip and how I'm navigating a city. I can be like, oh, yeah, this reminds me of that time that I was traveling solo in Brazil. This is really similar. Let me make sure not to say or do that thing. And it's just because of having that experience that I wouldn't be able to have without just having lived longer. So you just have that wisdom, you have that muscle built. And I think that is what makes traveling in your 40s, especially solo traveling, so enjoyable. And my final reason why I think that traveling in your 40s, especially solo traveling, is the best time is because you just have that health and vitality still. Now, granted, a lot of us have different health experiences, so definitely not glossing over that reality and how everybody's life experience is different. But I've noticed that as I've gotten older, I've become more sensitive to body ailments, being stiff, um, being very sensitive to how I sleep. I'm getting a lot more, let's just use the word sensitive. I'm getting a lot more sensitive. And I'm noticing that my satisfaction when it comes to traveling has started to decline in terms of comforts. And so, what that's made me do is I've elevated my travel, meaning that I want to stay in a nicer hotel in a nicer area that's quiet. You know, when I do my research, I'm looking for those details because I know that I am sensitive to sound. I know that I do need to have a nice, comfy bed with good insulated walls and it's not facing the pool, you know, all of those specificities. And I think as I get older, I'm going to get more particular about that. And my comfort is going to start to override my desire to actually want to do the travel, especially as it relates to like flying on the planes. I mean, I think that is kind of the beauty when you're younger, that you can sustain more of that a lot easier because you just have that health and that vitality in your body. Like, you can regenerate faster, you don't get as sore. There's a lot of things when you're younger that you can just sustain easier. And I think the 40s is when you start to hit that midpoint. It's a really special sweet spot before I start getting older and I start getting to the point where, hey, I may not want to travel as long because it's going to hurt my back or it's going to make my legs stiff or I'm not going to be able to adjust as well to jet lag. And I've been able to witness that in other people in my life, in my circle, who are getting older and they don't enjoy it as much because it's just harder on their body. It's just biology at this point. So that's why I feel the need to travel as much as I can, especially now. You know, maybe in my 20s and 30s, I didn't have the money or I didn't have the time off or I just didn't have that confidence or I didn't know myself as well. But now I have all those pieces and I'm really maximizing traveling in my 40s. So let me know what you think. You agree, disagree? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.